Hello, everybody, and I would like to welcome you guys to my very first mock draft. That's right, this is going to be my very first Raven centric mock draft. I'm going to see if I can. I don't really know the number of mock drafts I'm going to try to do, but before we start this mock draft, I have to, of course, establish some things. This video is currently being recorded on March 22nd, 2022, and we have the free agents that the Ravens have signed, which are currently Marcus Williams, free safety, offensive tackle Morgan Moses, nose tackle Michael Pierce returning home after a quick stint with the Vikings, and of course fullback Patrick Ricard. My mock draft will be based upon the free agency that the Ravens have just currently had. And this is going to be a 5-round mock draft with no trades. And we're going to basically run it basically how I would do it, but also taking into account what EDC and the Ravens value. And we're going to see if we can predict what might happen next month when the Ravens are officially on the clock at 14 or wherever they might be. So with all that out of the way, I think it's time to get into this mock draft. Let's begin. Alright, so we are currently at our pick at number 14, and it's a little bit of a worse board than I can actually thought it was going to be. Not a lot of real true players that would fit the bill of a top 15 pick for the Ravens here, unfortunately. As we can see from the board, Devontae Wyatt, the interior defensive lineman out of Georgia, and of course Trayvon Walker, the edge out of Georgia, have been taken by the Vikings and the Houston Texans, respectively. No Andrew Booth, no Derek Stingley, and no Sauce Gardner. So none of the top 3 corners are unfortunately available. Also, no Jermaine Johnson here, no edge. All the 3 big edge rushers are gone, and all the big 3 tackles are also unfortunately gone. Ike Ekwonu went number 3 to the Texans, Evan Neal went number 5 to the Giants, and Charles Cross went number 6 to the Carolina Panthers. So this leaves the Ravens in a pretty difficult spot here. And because there's no trades, I can't exactly bank on the trade down either. So we have to sit back and we really have to make a decision here. Now, if this happens in real life, the Ravens would probably most likely trade back. But we're not going to do trades for this draft. So now we have to think about what the needs for this team are. Currently, the Ravens have a need at center and guard. The center spot currently has not been taken up yet. But honestly, I would have to guess that they either feel confident with Patrick McCarry currently sliding in the center, or they take one late, or they're going to see about potentially signing J.C. Treader. Those are probably the 3 options at this point for the Ravens. We could live in a world where Treader potentially is a little bit too expensive for their liking. So either the option is draft one or bank on McCarry playing snaps at center. McCarry has had some time at center. It fortunately wasn't the best tape in the world, but with a full offseason with McCarry at center, I think he could be a pretty decent center. But I think I've done enough talking here. I think it's time to make a decision who we're going to be taking. We have Devin Lloyd here. We have Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. We have Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M. Tyler Linderbaum has been a player that has been mocked to the Ravens a lot in these mock drafts. However, I just don't think he really fits the Ravens' Greg Roman scheme. They are drafting pieces for this scheme. I don't think Linderbaum fits that scheme. We do have Trevor Penning here available out of Northern Iowa. Penning has also been a pretty popular pick for the Ravens. However, he's just not worth a top 14 pick. And this is really where some of the discussion comes in. Because I would be really happy with taking David Ojabo here at this pick. But unfortunately, really sad situation. He tore his Achilles at his pro day. So this is going to drop him a couple of spots. And I just don't feel confident taking Ojabo 14, unfortunately. Not a lot of really big-time players here available. We do have Jordan Davis available. And with this pick, we are going to select big defensive tackle out of Georgia, Jordan Davis. He's an absolute mammoth of a human being. He's listed at 6'6", 341 pounds. Apparently at the combine, he weighed in around 340. Apparently he was playing 360 at Georgia. So apparently he lost 20 pounds. Very important, of course. Davis's overall profile is a little bit hard to figure out because he's an elite run-stopping defensive tackle. Like, teams were trying to double team him in the SEC, and it just wasn't working. Like you go online and watch the Kentucky film, and you're going to see the effort, in air quotes, that they tried to stop him. You can't double team this guy because he's just so massive and he's so strong from the inside that it's just hard to double team him on the run in the running game. Yes, we do have Michael Pierce. Yes, we do have other pieces on the interior, but I think this is the best overall pick for the Ravens right now. This would most likely fit one of their he would probably be one of their best players available. If we were doing trades, I would probably trade down and still pick up Davis, but because we don't have trades, I'm taking Davis at 14. A little bit of a weird pick because it doesn't really, you can argue it doesn't fit the value, but I still like the value of Jordan Davis there at 14, who is still probably going to go top 20, by the way. Now we wait for the next pick, which is at pick number 45. And now we are at pick number 45. We have some very solid options on the board here. Interior defensive line, we could double dip, but I'm going to not double dip here. We do have DeMarvin Leal, Perion Winfrey out of Oakland, Oklahoma. Just absolute terror on the inside. An absolute terror on the inside. Also have Travis Jones, defensive tackle out of UConn. He's been a very popular player for the Ravens in these mock drafts. I've seen him mocked to the Ravens in second rounds all over Twitter. It seems like that the Ravens fans have at least been locking themselves into a potential Travis Jones pick. I would like that pick as well. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. He is very hard to block. He's basically a Jordan Davis light, but he has more pass rushing upside than I think a Davis would have. We have some edges available. We have Arnold Ebeki out of Penn State. Just a absolute firecracker off the edge. Just fierce, fast. He has twitch. He has speed. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Yannick Ngakoue, of course, a former Marine. But we do have some on the board here. We got Kyler Gordon out of Washington, a very solid corner. He's pretty fast. He's good in press. He's good in zone. Very solid player for UW, University of Washington. We also got some wide receivers here available. We got the explosive Christian Watson. We have the big, tall wide receiver George Pickens here available. We have another edge in Logan Hall from Houston available. We have some interior pieces on the O-line available to us. We have Sean Ryan out of UCLA and Dylan Parham out of Memphis. Parham is probably going to be a center come the time he gets into the NFL. We also have the insane athlete out of UTSA and Tariq Woolen, insane athlete at corner. We also have one of the more underrated players in the class here available to us in Tyler Smith out of Tulsa. Interior piece, tackle, interior line. Some teams think he's a tackle, some teams think he's a guard. We don't really know what he is yet. But I think that's really where the cutoff point is. From this point, that would be considered steals. All these players here would be considered steals. We don't really have a true first round player here. These are all second to third round players, which is usually how the board does fall. But I'm going to be taking a pretty unique player here in Arnold Ebeki. Ravens are going to double dip in their Penn State edges. Excuse me, of course, Odafe Owe. But now we get another explosive edge piece in Arnold Ebeki. Arnold Ebeki, again, absolute firecracker off the edge. He gives the Ravens a edge bender that I really don't think they have outside of really Odafe Owe. Now we are waiting for our pick at number 76, and we are on the clock again. So according to the Draft Network, the players from this point, these are the players at this point that would be considered steals or great value. The cutoff point would be here with Calvin Austin, third out of Memphis. But we have some pieces available here. We have Jamari Sailor, and Ed Ingram, a couple of SEC guard interior pieces, Ingram and Jamari Sailor. We have a running back in James Cook. We have Ohio State's Jeremy Ruckert. We have Alabama running back Brian Robinson. And then we have the two running backs available here, Isaiah Spiller and Kenneth Walker. So Ravens have taken interior defensive line and edge. I think it's time to go for a piece for the offense. A little bit weird because there's not exactly a true tackle available. The best tackle is probably Abe Lucas out of Washington State. A little bit early for him. Of course, we have Penn State's Rashad Walker, another player that often is mocked around this point. Also still have small school Louisiana Lafayette's Max Mitchell, pretty solid right tackle. Of course, we have pieces on the interior. Pieces on the corner, we have Marcus Jones out of Houston, Mario Goodrich out of Clemson. We have Cam Taylor-Britt out of Nebraska. We have Martin Emerson out of Mississippi State. We have Josh Williams out of Fayetteville State. He was a player that Eric DaCosta dropped during his Senior Bowl preview. Doesn't exactly mean much, but kind of shows that someone could be it could be somebody on the Ravens' mind, or it can be a total smokescreen. We don't exactly know, but I think for this pick here, Jamari Sailor, or Ed Ingram would probably be the best picks here for the Ravens. And it's really about what you want more. Ed Ingram, a little bit older. They're both around the same size. They're both around the same height, same size. Kind of similar players. Guard, he could give potential athleticism, multiple schemes. But Jamari Sailor also fits the power running scheme that the Ravens like. So we're going to be going with Jamari Sailor. Very good run blocking guard for Georgia. He now joins the Ravens. And now we wait until pick number 100. And the Ravens are on the clock once again. So let me see if the tackles are still available. Abe Lucas is gone. Is Rashad Walker available? Rashad Walker is available. And with this pick, we are going to take Rashad Walker. It'd be a little bit of a reach. Honestly, we're like towards the end of the third round when we took that pick. It's around the range to kind of have Rashad Walker going. He's a solid player for Penn State. Didn't really get to talk about him a lot, but we're going to discuss him now. He's experienced. Obviously, he made the rounds on Twitter after a couple of videos of him kind of disrespecting his opponent after the sacks, after the pancakes he was giving out to the edge defenders. Kind of went public. But I think that's, whether you think it's funny or not, he's experienced. He has snaps. We're taking a lot of Penn State players here. If you're a Penn State fan, you're probably happy. But He's a developmental. He likes to finish. He seems like a type of player that could fit the Ravens really well. So now with pick 110 here, we have a lot of players that would be considered steals here. According to the Draft Network, we got Jesse Lakuta, another Penn State player. Leo Chanel's available. Troy Anderson out of Montana State, big time combine star Troy Anderson. Got Leo Chanel. Got Rashad White, running back out of Arizona State. Darren Beavers, another linebacker out of Cincinnati. Got another Cincinnati player here, running back Jerome Ford. But this pick is a little bit weird at this point. But I think I'm going to go with a receiving tight end. And Cade Otton. I've always kind of said that, the Ravens have always had a little bit of trouble replacing Hayden Hurst. They've always had issues kind of replacing that second tight end spot. But I do think that Cade Otton can give the Ravens that receiving threat. He's, as we say here, he's a sufficient level athlete, down the field, speed, good separation, quickness as a route runner. He's a very good inline blocker, good power at the point of attack. He has some nastiness, intensity into him in the run game. Ravens are going to absolutely adore that. Of course, we know they love their run blocking. He has good hands, route running. He's not that good of a route runner at tight end, but I think he can really offer something else in the passing game that I just think that Nick Boyle can't really do, nor can Patrick Ricard. But, I've always said that, they've kind of done a little bit of a poor job replacing Hayden Hurst. But we are now up at 119. We do have still have a lot of the same players available. We have a lot of picks in this range here. I'm really looking for a corner. I think we've gone a lot without taking a corner. It's still a little bit early for Josh Jobe out of Alabama. A little bit early for Jack Jones. Darion Kendrick is not a good athlete at all. Kind of got kicked off of Clemson. Kobe Bryant, the Jim Thorpe Award winner, he's fine, but he's just not really a true number one corner. Doesn't really have the athleticism, like the breakaway or the kind of recovery speed that you kind of hope for as a corner. Edge is just completely obliterated. I don't think they can take another edge rusher at this point. Safety is obliterated. Tackle, no. Just took a tight end. Receiver, not really good options available. Interior defensive line, we've kind of already dipped into that. Is this a time for a running back pick? Is this a Breece Hall pick? I think it is. Look, running back, I know this is not going to make some Ravens fans happy, but I'm going to play a realist here for a second, ladies and gentlemen. We should not expect J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards to come back fully 100%. I think expecting that is setting yourself up for failure. I think Breece Hall can give a little bit more of a kind of a just overall a little bit more kind of speed threat. Like, he's big, he's 6'1", 220 pounds. He's huge. He's got burst, top speed. His athleticism. He's athletic. He just parts all over the place. And you say it right here. It's an ideal role. Draft Network, part of a running back by committee. And that's kind of what the Ravens do. They have multiple running backs, and I think Breece Hall really fits the Ravens. We're going to take Brees Hall, and look at that. Right as soon as they took Brees Hall, 2 other running backs went off the board. Rashad White and Jerome Ford immediately went off the board. So we jumped on. I had to jump on Brees Hall. I had to. Like, not going to be a popular pick. Don't care. I had to jump on that immediately. So now we are now here at 128. We're now starting to see some other names that could potentially help the Ravens later on. Still looking for a corner. You know what? Let's see if we can get an Arizona State corner. Jack Jones is available. You know, he's a former 5-star recruit. Signed with USC. You know, he was really good as a true freshman. And unfortunately, he was kicked off the roster. But, you know, apparently he did get in trouble with the law. So, I don't think I didn't know he got kicked off the team for getting in trouble with the law. So, that probably means that he's probably not even on the Ravens board. They obviously take stuff like this very seriously. Yeah. Lucas is another Arizona State cornerback, but I'm not taking a corner here. I changed my mind. Did we just take a linebacker, honestly? I don't want to take a linebacker. The board, as you can see, the board has not been kind to me in this mock draft. You get some mock drafts that have been kind to you, but today they're not being kind. And I honestly think I'm looking at Alex Lindstrom here. You know, let's say in this world that the Ravens sign a center, but it's like a Dustin Hopkins type of center, where like it's clearly a stopgap center. So why not take Alec Lindstrom out of Boston College as your potential center of the future? Now we are back on the board here at 139. And I do think, fortunately, Chase Lucas got taken. The other cornerback, you know, Caleb Evans is also here. Big, tall press corner. Physicality, length. He kind of fits the Ravens, you know. So, you know what? Let's take Caleb Evans out of Mizzou. Lucius Smith just went to the Packers, and now the Ravens are up for what I think should be their last pick of them. For what I think should be the last pick of this mock draft. And we filled a lot of needs in this mock draft. We have wide receiver, we have safety, we have linebacker as kind of needs we haven't filled yet. So we just took a corner. Honestly, I'm thinking Darian Beavers here. He's a huge 6'4", 255-pounder, humongous. He, you know, looks like he posted a 4.0 in high school. He trained, but it does look like he transferred from UConn to Cincinnati. You know, I think he is a playmaker. Looks like he's pretty smart. He understands run splits, you know. Says he isn't overly a explosive athlete when it comes to mobility. To me, this just screams another Malik Harrison. Just type a big, strong, downhill linebacker that doesn't have the smoothest of hips, isn't really a guy you want to have in a deep zone, kind of a guy that might get kind of burned occasionally. So maybe not really that, but honestly, like, it just has not been a good board for the Ravens. Here, man, we are killing me with this board. Whatever, I'm going to take Darian Evers, just Beavers. Look, Malik Harrison, and of course, we also just lost Chris Board the other day. And in free agency. So the Ravens do need another linebacker. Malik Harrison we still have, but overall I think we could definitely use another linebacker. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. So this is the mock draft. At number 4, I selected Jordan Davis, a big interior defensive lineman out of Georgia. With my second pick at number 45, I selected the bendy edge rusher out of Penn State. And Arnold Ebeki brings a little bit of edge bend that the Ravens don't exactly have right now. With Tyus Bowser being hurt and really no other real options for the Ravens right now, they kind of need that fast guy off the edge. It would be really interesting to see, especially with the newly improved defensive line that would happen with Jordan Davis coming in, with Michael Pierce, with Justin Madubuike kind of coming in, also with Derek Wolfe continuing to work his way back. Getting a guy like Ebeki off the edge with Odafe Owe would be really fun to watch. 76, we took the run blocking guard Jamari Sailor. Not exactly the most high end positions, but kind of just took a BPA, best player available kind of approach there. With number 100, we took Rasheed Walker out of Penn State. Really good run blocker, pretty good in pass pro. He's a developmental pick for now. Ravens, and what's great about that pick is that the Ravens don't even have to play him immediately because they have Jawan James, they have Patrick McCarry, who can be a swing tackle. They have Morgan Moses, and this is without even considering Ronnie Stanley, because who knows what's going to happen with that situation. And right now, the Ravens have a lot of depth at tackle, and Rasheed Walker might not even have to play tackle. Might not even have to play this year. So he can be a developmental pick for the Ravens. Number 110, Cade Otton, tight end out of Washington, to give Lamar Jackson another receiving threat. 119, we took a running back, Breece Hall. Again, not the most popular pick, but I think a very smart pick for the Ravens. 128, we reached a little bit to take a kind of a big need that I kind of ignored now. Lindstrom, kind of really good center, 3-year starter. Obviously he's the brother of Chris Lindstrom, the guard from the Atlanta Falcons. Again, he just fits the Ravens. He's a really good run blocker. He excels as a run blocker. Kind of struggles in pass pro a little bit, but I think he just fits what the Ravens want. Another fit that the Ravens really like, Akilib Evans out of Mizzou, big, tall, press corner. And the last pick, Darian Beaver, linebacker out of Cincinnati. Big, strong, downhill linebacker that potentially could be a special teamer, filling the role of Chris Ford, and potentially the loss of LJ Ford, and even potentially Josh Bynes. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the mock draft. This is my first mock draft. If you like it, please leave a comment below. And with all that being said,